Thank you. Thank you for the introduction, and thanks a lot for having me here today and for sticking around for this. So, Deeptrace is a security company that we started in late 2018 with the mission of preventing and tackling issues related with synthetic media, in particular their misuses online. So what I'm talking about here, maybe you're familiar with the term that press has popularized for this topic, which is deepfakes. So that's what we are after here. And with my team, we are essentially interested in understanding the threat, in particular online, how people are using this technology for harm and potentially for criminally related activities. And at the same time, we develop our own technologies based on AI and computer vision to be able to tell when videos or images as well are potentially generated with AI, so therefore they are synthetic. So we're going to be talking about fakes, and I think no best introduction to actually have a reality check with you. A little test here. So only one of these two people is actually a real person. One of these two ladies is actually generated by an algorithm. It's a dream of a deep neural network. Is that obvious for you which is which, though? I'm going to try a test here. So who agrees with me that the lady on the left here is actually synthetic, it's fake? Raise your hand. So I would say it's probably maybe 30% of the room. So you would be actually right. I can hear some concern about this, but don't feel alone. Actually, this game was played by millions of people on their phone. And bottom line, we are not so much better as humans with our senses already today than just tossing a coin on this. So this should already make us reflecting on where we're heading. And why are we talking about this today and not maybe 5 or 10 years ago? The reason is technology for this wasn't even remotely ready in 2014, for example, when maybe we started to have an interesting result in terms of image generation with deep learning and generative models. What we have witnessed in the last 5 years or so, it's extremely fast advances in this area that brought us from gray pixelated pictures of product of Disney neural network to generate headshots to something that for most of us will look extremely realistic, just like a picture from a camera. So part of it is realism, resolution, but also controllability. So this model this model trained on hundreds of thousands of pictures, for example, human beings, will let us just tweak in some of their parameters to choose who to generate, their head pose, their gender, as well as producing in batches in milliseconds the same human being, if you wish, changing their gender, their age, as well as their ethnicity. Just again in milliseconds. And this technology is available online, and most of the cases is also open sourced. So this is for synthetic pictures, synthetic images of people that do not exist. But if you bear with me, it's not unbelievable to imagine the same technology being used to take a video and actually impersonate a real human being for which maybe we have some picture or maybe we find videos online, and essentially impersonating them, having them saying things that I never said or being in places that I've never been. So I'm going to show you something that probably you haven't seen because it's actually something new that was produced by some activists in London just a couple of weeks ago.
Amazon.com is 25 years old. So I, Deepfake Bezos, am making a 25-year commitment to the Amazon forest. It's time to act.
So this is what digital activism could start to look like in 2020. But I'm sure I don't need to convince you that same technology may be used for much more nefarious purposes. This is a matter of reputation for people, and videos is a matter of reputation for company. This is about potential activity for potential tools for fraudsters, for social engineering, disinformation, you name it. If you can control a video, you can you open a new tool set for people who are doing bad things with this technology. And that's why we started Deeptrace with essentially thinking about taking on this challenge from two standpoints that work together. So one is we actually starting online. What are the communities? What are the tools available? What are the motives of some of these the people that produce videos? And what they do with it? What are how we could actually track some of these actors online and how they are motivated to do so. At the same time, the enabling technology behind our activity is, as I mentioned, computer vision and AI. So in a way, we use AI against itself. We train deep neural network to understand videos, to tell us with some degree of confidence if the face, for example, of somebody that we see in a video actually comes from the same camera recording as it would be the rest of the video, or is that alien and has been manipulated and synthesized. So essentially, we are building deepfake detection capabilities. In the last couple of years, essentially, this is what we have observed. Pretty organic and explosive increase of a number of production. If you look for about fake videos, deepfake videos in particular. So we have seen just a handful of those at the end of 2017 over Reddit. Something that has grown very fast at the end of 2018 and more than double in numbers in just about 1 year. If you look from the perspective of the victims, so the people that would be targeted by these videos without their consent, that's and for people that we actually can name, so we know who they are because maybe they are public figures and celebrity, we identified more than 900 people already. What is the content? What is this video mainly about today? So this may be something that will potentially surprise you. Press usually point the finger to potential application and weaponization for politics. That's really not what we see if we do a job that is more data-driven, so on the field here. Actually, 96% of what we find online today about fake videos is related to fake pornography. So the intent here is to put celebrity in pornographic clips, of course, without their consent, without their knowledge, and actually monetize. This is not a niche interest in the internet, as maybe would have started 2 years ago using this technology. This is now the case where established businesses are actually making revenue upon hundreds of millions of visualization that we record from many different places, really that live at the boundary of legality on the internet. And therefore, it comes maybe without surprise if you look then try to categorize who is really the victim of deepfakes today. Again, I don't think about politicians. There is a little bit of it, but the main target is women today, period. And if we look and compare to what people would do on YouTube in terms of satirical, funny video, what we see is there is a stark difference in terms of gender for victims here. These, I think, give you a little bit an idea of what happens in terms of width and scope of the problem. So if reason about scale and big numbers, but I want to also give you a hint of a few cases that arose last year that has been reported, and some of them we have been involved with for investigation. So some of this technology are already used today for fraud and social engineering or even disinformation campaign over social media. I just want to point you to a curious, interesting story of this woman here, Katie Jones. This is a LinkedIn profile of a person that was graduated from Stanford and worked at an important think tank in the US, and was very well connected to in environmental and the government with Federal Reserve and State Department, with one issue though. So this was found out to be actually a fake person. So this person actually didn't exist. This is actually a profile that is generated. The picture is actually generated by generative algorithms. This is a deepfake LinkedIn profile, if you wish. Still, this person was able to connect with real people working in the US government, allegedly tried to get confidential information out of a private chat and conversation until it was banned and found out. This is actually an additional level of protection, if you want, for an attacker to deceive other people that are talking to, because this person actually doesn't exist and cannot be tracked down on the internet. There is no other image of Katie Jones, and therefore you may just think, well, it's real because nobody else with a different name has been using this picture, so this is not a stolen picture. And similarly, we know also a large coordinated disinformation campaign happening over Facebook in a couple of occasions, starting from either Georgia, Vietnam, that were addressed by Facebook and others last year. In some cases, trying to penetrate in the user base in the US for spreading disinformation campaign. This, again, has been fueled and empowered by some of these technologies using synthetic profiles to create them on scale. And last bit I want to mention that I'm sure it's in your mind, but what about politics actually? Have we seen yet today the effect of deepfakes on politics? This is a question that is recurrent. My answer is yes, but not for maybe what it would be intuitive to say. So we have been following and working investigation in 2 cases related to Gabon, and some cases, very high-profile cases related to Gabon and Malaysia. So these 2 gentlemen here are actually, in one case, head of state and economic minister of Malaysia. And in both cases, there was concern about the veracity of videos involving this very high-profile individual in the country. I wanted to address the question, were those videos, either in one case leaked to the press, another one published by the government, were those videos actually fake, manipulated? Because actually that goes beyond the question. Point is, in both these cases, the public opinion or some political party in this country started to deny the veracity of this video, pointing to the fact that anybody could have created them. So just what I want you to reflect with is that just the fact that this technology is available today is already making a splash in some places at a very high level of politics, because anybody can draw to plausible deniability. If somebody could have made those video, why should you believe it? It might well be fake. So I think this is actually one of the key phenomena that we're going to be seeing in this area in the future and probably this year. Erosion of trust when related to digital visual evidence and potential political argument related to it. So I think this is probably what we're going to be seeing a lot more in terms of politics very soon. But I want to make it too long. I hope to start a conversation on this, so I'll just stop here and we'll invite Alex on stage. Thank you.
So, thanks, Giorgio. I hope you found that an interesting presentation. You can perhaps understand why, as a venture capital investor, I would be interested to try to support a business like Giorgio's. So I just want to be upfront about that. I am an investor in Giorgio's business because I think it does something really important. I was going to go on and just ask a couple of questions of Giorgio myself, and I hope you will also have some questions and that we can get some roving mics out to you, and if not, we will repeat your questions. But first of all, just to explore the kind of ultimate outcome of this, do you think that the progression of this technology means that ultimately it will actually become impossible to tell the difference between the reality and the synthetic? And in that case, what do you think we should do to try to deal with that potential outcome?
So it depends on how you take the question. So in a way, if you're talking about discerning reality for us as humans, viewer and consumer, I think that's probably the way where we're heading. And that's probably not too far in the future where any videos we are going to be seeing on the internet, it's going to have some synthetic element in it. And most things that we will see would actually not be distinguishable from recorded videos from a camera. I think technology is heading there. It's hard to say when. The pace is hard to predict. Fact is, I think with technology, and that's kind of our bet with Deeptrace, with technology we are going to have a much longer term in terms of for how long technology will be able to provide us input and signals to tell when something has been compromised or has been completely synthesized. So that just buys us much more time to understand and be in control of what we see. And as humans, I don't think we have hope to win that battle. So against the generative models, against AI in general, I think the only solution for that will be to fight it with its own means. So I think that would actually be buying us a lot more time that otherwise will be.
Right, and that's something you're doing in the business, is using AI to detect the same things which AI has generated in the first place.
Correct, yes.
Great. So something else which I think is important, I do a lot of work in cybersecurity more widely, and one of the things which worries me is the potential for the use of these fake videos to subvert biometric systems. So right now, we all get identified in various ways. One of the trends which even perhaps some of your phones are using is this idea that face detection is used to unlock your phone. This is not going to go so well if it turns out that somebody can generate a fake version of your face, perhaps by starting out with the picture you've helpfully provided on your LinkedIn profile, and then show it to your stolen phone and miraculously have it unlocked. Do you think that deepfake synthesis has the potential to actually bypass these kind of biometric systems?
Actually, at least at research level, these are already being demonstrated as a possibility. So I'm aware of two particular cases. So one would be really related to face recognition. So even some of these, even the more rudimentary face swap technique over videos already been proven to be enough to fool face recognition. So in a way, you could bypass a face recognition system automated to recognize, your colleague having a face video of your colleague on yourself. So that actually has been proven already with a fairly high accuracy. I don't know, and actually I don't believe the industry in that case is trying to step up in terms of defenses. It's something very new, of course, but no reason to say this is not coming. I think it will come. Another case that I'm aware of is iris scans. So I think there is already some amount of research showing that with generative models it is possible to synthesize very realistically iris of other people, so real people, to bypass again a biometric system for identification. So this is in a way a new type of attack for that people that design biometric system will need to be aware of in the future.
And that's something that most of us probably used when we came through the airport recently. That you put your passport in, and what it's actually doing is allowing your iris, the center of your eye, to be checked, and that's why you look into the screen. So if that can be artificially reproduced, then that could really be a problem. Okay, thanks. So I'm going to try and open it up for questions. I hope some of you will have questions. It feels like this is a topic which affects everybody. You don't have to be a celebrity. You don't have to be worried about pornography being created of you. Probably all of us are potentially impacted by this. I see one gentleman right away. I don't know if we can find him a roving mic. If somebody's there to do that, we'll do it. Otherwise, we're going to count to 3, and after that, he's going to stand up and speak loudly anyway. Okay. In fact, Ralph got the mic first, but we're going to come back to you, gentleman with the beard, in just a moment. Ralph.
Thanks. My name is Ralph Simon. The question is this. Sometimes with copyright, you can use digital watermarking. Is there a way that you can use digital watermarking on visual images like faces, such that, like with iris recognition, it can give you some form of control, or at least some connective control?
Very, very intriguing question, actually. So if you're talking about, so I think there are two ways to see how to use digital watermarking for potential takedown or control of this content. One is either in the source video, and I think there is actually a chance for that to be working in the sense that as soon as you manipulate it, some of that watermark is actually gone, and you may recognize that somebody broke it. On faces themselves, I'm not sure exactly how would that work. I guess in principle what you would like to do is let's assign a univoc way to identify that this is actually the face of the person, and maybe you would apply that to any time that you're taking a picture of a video of that person if you own the right the image of, let's say, a celebrity. I don't say it's no. It seems tricky to implement for me, but
I'm going to chip in. My instinct is that the process of using deep learning to derive new images from the original source images is very unlikely to leave the watermark intact, and therefore I suspect that it's going to be extremely difficult to find a watermarking technique which is resilient against that. But it is an interesting area for potential research, and I think it's an ingenious suggestion. Let's go to the gentleman halfway down. Why don't you stand up and wave so that they don't miss you this time? Okay, there we go, perfect. I promised him next, but we'll come back to you. Please.
I had a kind of a related question. Recently, there was a documentary about a show, Star Trek, Deep Space Nine, and they used GAN network to basically re-improve and re-encode in like 4K capabilities this movie. And one of the questions I wonder, do you actually see these kind of technologies not only to improve, all these movies were made for TV, they don't have high resolution, you need basic deep learning and actually improve the quality, but at some point, why not completely change the movie and create, with existing material, a different type of movies, but kind of seem like what George Lucas has tried to do all his life with Star Wars?
Yeah, I think technically that is referred to super resolution. So in a way, a very similar technique for different use indeed. Another one that has been studying in the last few years is called, maybe you're familiar with this one, it's called style transfer, where essentially you would have, say, a video of a city that is daytime and wintertime, and you would turn it into nighttime in the summer. So to some extent that actually already works, maybe not conserving so much of temporal consistency and be too realistic on videos. I think there is probably still some years before getting there into production, but that's something that, it's an area of study that is very intriguing, actually.
So hopefully this gentleman managed to get hold of the mic. Put your hand up so they can find you, Chief, and there we go, he's coming. And we've probably got time for one more after this, if you're quick, so somebody else can be prepared. Okay, yeah, you're next.
That will be very short.
Go.
So the development of this new technique of generating faces go fast thanks to the open source sites of the scientific community. Are you open sourcing the countermeasure or not?
That's a very good question, actually. So the personal opinion here, which will, I think...
You're going to upset your investors, is that what you're going to say?
Which will be painful to be heard for somebody that maybe is coming from a cybersecurity point of view. I think in this area, when we do use machine learning for security, actually obfuscation as a value, which is different from what people would claim if they are using cryptography for that. Reason is, as soon as you open source something, or at least even if you just open an interface to your detector, there is in principle the potential of that being reverse engineered, because those models, the generative models, are really literally made for learning to bypass something, right? So I think in this case, so our approach to this is we only open our technology to trusted partners that we know they have their security in place, and we can trust that they're going to be using our detector for a good purpose, for a good use. Open sourcing is good for research, and it is, I would encourage it from an academic standpoint, but if you need to build something that is efficient and robust in the wild as a commercial entity, I wouldn't advise that in this case.
So I think that was a no. Are we allowed to have 1 minute for the question? Great.
Rod Beckstrom, founding director of the U.S. National Cybersecurity Center. Long-range question for you two. Great presentation. 30 to 50 years out, where do you see this going? Or as far as you can even possibly imagine?
You kind of answered the question already, didn't you?
40, 50, it's hard. I think we will laugh about any prediction if I made one, and we meet again in 50 years, right? But let's say like 5 years, I'm pretty confident that this technology would be extremely fluid and to be used in real time, right? So that actually opens up a Pandora box of potential exploitation in terms of impersonation of other people. Imagine having a video conference with somebody that you know well, and you recognize their voice, recognize their face, just that it's somebody else. I'm 100% sure that's going to happen. It's just a matter of when. So as more this technology becomes real-time and more scalable, more fluid, high resolution, that's definitely the direction where we're heading. And again, very positive impact this is going to have in creative industries, and you name advertisement, media, and so on. We need to also be careful and to be concerned about misuses at the same time, though.
Okay, I think that's a pretty clear answer. I'm afraid I've been told I'm out of time, so you're going to have to catch us outside, but we'll be around. So thanks very much for your attention.
Thank you.